Hi there guys, time blind reaction of this fanfic reading called Ponytails, My Little Pony Fanfic Reading, Maiden Flight, Slice of Life Comedy. By the thumbnail, we know it is a Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo story.
I need to fly! This is way too boring for me.
Don't worry, we're gonna get to the reaction in a minute, okay? Yes, we're gonna get into this reaction now. In 3, in 2, in 1, go! I love the music already.
Ponytails. Read by Scribbler.
Hello Scribbler! Your OC's cute by the way. Always like OC. I'll always like her OC. And she's English. Okay. Let's get in. Ooh. Oh! That's so cute! Sorry!
Maiden Flight by Coldingardez.
That is cute. I love that. That's cute.
It was a lazy afternoon in Ponyville, at the height of summer, and most sensible ponies were taking refuge from the sweltering heat inside their homes or favourite shops. The lake south of town and the ice cream stand outside the Hayseed Cafe were doing brisk business, but otherwise the streets were conspicuously empty of traffic. Apart from the twittering of birds and the buzz of insects, the town was remarkably quiet, content to bide its time until the sun dipped towards the horizon and the cool breeze of evening could come to the rescue. The pennants atop the Carousel Boutique hung limp in the thick air, looking like streamers from a certain pink pony's parties.
Pinkie Pie.
Inside, undisturbed by the heat, but panicking over an upcoming order of summer dresses for the Canterlot Homecoming Ball, a white unicorn with a frazzled expression and mane fed bolts of the finest cotton through an old-fashioned, hoof-powered sewing machine. The electric machine was on the fritz, contributing greatly to the pony's taut nerves. To judge by the abundance of cotton bolts in the workshop and the lack of summer dresses, she had a ways to go before resting.
Yes.
Across the street, Sugar Cube Corner, Ponyville's finest confectionery, was looking a little worse for wear. Some pony had thrown open all the windows, which had the agreeable effect of filling the town square with a tantalizing scent of bread, muffins, cupcakes, and pies in various states of completion. Through those open windows, though, the occasional passerby could just barely make out the shapes of Mr. and Mrs. Cake slaving over hot ovens and stoves, filling tray carts with steaming hot desserts, and pausing occasionally to take long gulps of water from a tankard near the sink. They looked, to put it mildly, rather hot, but nevertheless neither showed any sign of slacking off before the day's orders were done.
Yes.
Similar scenes of quiet industry played out across the town. No pony with any choice in the matter was outside, and the buzz of cicadas was the only conversation to be heard. It was peaceful. It was quiet. It was good.
It was good.
Of course,
it was excellent.
In every town there are ponies who cannot stand peace or quiet. Indeed, they seem determined to seek out and destroy peace and quiet wherever they may be found. Perhaps it's genetic. Perhaps their parents raised them that way. Perhaps it's just more fun.
It's more fun.
Amidst the peace and quiet of Ponyville, two loud, enthusiastic voices could be heard carrying on a conversation in the most unlikely of places. They were practically shouting in their excitement at the one spot in town that should have been quiet at all hours, the Books and Branches Library. The larger of the two, a cyan Pegasus with a garish rainbow mane, barked,
"All right, pre-flight checked."
She was perched on the railing of the library's balcony, the highest point in Ponyville reachable by stairs.
That's good!
Flight plan, check!
Shouted the other, a tiny orange Pegasus. She grabbed in her mouth a loose-leaf sheet of paper pilfered from the library's stores, on which was hastily scrawled the words, Origin, Library Balcony. Destination, ground beneath library balcony. Estimated duration, 2 seconds.
Great!
That's fast.
Rainbow Dash asked next,
I'm ready.
her eyes looking up at the cloudless sky.
Blue. Check. I mean, clear.
Scootaloo answered, trying to remember the appropriate Weather Patrol terminology.
Right. Emergency supplies? Check.
Scootaloo tapped a mound of assorted gear with her hoof. Visible in the disorganised pile were signal flares, saddlebags stuffed with unknown contents, a solid week's worth of food, and multiple medical kits.
You know, Dash, it was really nice of you to agree to teach Scoots to fly,
said Twilight Sparkle, who had been observing the exchange from the back of the balcony and was now eyeing the pile of supplies with professional distaste.
Yeah, well, when you're the greatest flyer in all of Equestria, you get requests like this all the time. I'd like to think that I have an obligation to help other Pegasi become just as awesome as I am.
She's been loyal.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
How many other fillies have you taught to fly again?
One.
The blue Pegasus deflated slightly,
None.
but quickly rebounded.
Technically none, but I've inspired plenty. That's the same thing.
Between the two adult ponies, Scootaloo waited patiently, her wide, adoring eyes locked on her hero.
Right.
Twilight Sparkle said, her eyes narrowed.
Tell me, why do you need 3 separate first aid kits?
Well, each kit only comes with 2 splints and 2 torn kits. So you need 3 kits to have enough for all your limbs. They should really make a special kit.
It's not going to weigh you down.
Come to think of it.
Twilight Sparkle spent a silent moment in cognitive dissonance, torn between reassurance that Dash had actually planned ahead to have enough medical supplies, with deep unease that Dash, of all ponies, thought medical supplies might be necessary.
Okay, enough talk. Time to fly.
Dash said, taking advantage of
In
Twilight's
3, 2, 1,
momentary
go.
silence.
Get up here, Squirt.
She grabbed the tiny Pegasus's mane in her teeth and hauled her up on the railing.
Scootaloo, not
Scootaloo's
Squirt.
wings buzzed as she tried to keep her balance on the railing while peering over the edge to the ground below.
Is she going to fall
For
down?
some reason it seemed much further away than she remembered.
Sorry, Sweetie Belle.
Kind of high, Dash.
I know. Isn't it great?
The blue
Wait for
Pegasus
you,
cut
yes,
her
but
off.
not for Scootaloo.
Remember, the point is to just float off the ground. Don't try anything fancy yet.
Nothing fancy. Got it.
You gonna fall, Scootaloo, be careful.
She took a few deep breaths to steady herself, and then a few more. Then some more.
And more.
Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 2.5.
Dash shouted, giving the younger pony a shove to the rump with her muzzle and knocking her clean off the railing. Scootaloo screamed, falling a few feet before her frantically flapping wings slowed her to something resembling a hover.
Hey, I'm doing it. I'm flying. Dash, look, I'm flying.
Technically, you're not flying with your
The
hovering.
orange filly managed to stay in place for nearly a second before she started to sink again, vanishing through the branches with a series of crashes, followed, a few seconds later, by a muffled thump.
Thump.
Great job, champ.
Dash shouted over the railing,
Great job!
back to the shocked Twilight with a huge smile on her face.
Oh, I am such an awesome teacher.
Then she leapt over the railing with a flap of her wings, diving to check on her student. For her part, Twilight Sparkle stared at the empty space where only moments before 2 Pegasus ponies had perched. Finally, with a sigh, she levitated one of the medical kits and started towards the ground floor, using the stairs like a sensible filly.
I do have some comic book dubs to read. I'm very sorry about that. Is that in part 1?
Twilight, did you see me?
Yes, Scoots, I saw you.
4.
The unicorn replied, pushing her way past a circle of concerned ponies who were gathered around the young Pegasus. She set the medical kit next to Scootaloo.
Are you okay?
The filly tested her wings, flapping them so fast they blurred into an orange smear.
Yup.
I mean, the rest of you?
Oh, my huff hurts.
Scootaloo, who was still sitting awkwardly on the ground, held up her right foreleg.
Right, 4
Twilight sighed, looking around for Scootaloo's erstwhile teacher. She finally spied Rainbow Dash talking animatedly with a group of concerned-looking ponies.
And then I said 3. And she
Rainbow,
off.
look after Scootaloo.
Twilight rolled her eyes and
You're not
turned her
concerned about
attention
her
back to
safety?
Scootaloo, who was trying to get to her feet.
Hold on a second. Let me see that leg.
She took the limb with her hoof and gently palpated the cannon bone and ankle, causing the young pony to wince.
Oh,
Looks like you twisted it.
She said, popping open the medical kit and levitating out an elastic bandage, which she proceeded to wrap around the joint.
Twilight, I was flying. I was flying!
1 second.
Scootaloo said, her voice filled with wonder.
Uh-huh.
It was awesome, Twilight. I was like, ah! And I was like, I'm flying! Did you see me? Ow!
Sorry.
Twilight said, not actually feeling very sorry at all. With another twist, she finished off the wrap, securing it with a pair of butterfly clips.
All right, no more flying until...
Whatever time limit she meant to impose was lost as a rainbow mane suddenly shoved its way into her field of view, followed by the rest of an excited Pegasus pony.
Twilight! Twilight! Did you see that?
Rainbow Dash blurted, sounding nearly as excited as her student.
That was so freaking awesome!
Yes, Dash, I saw her.
I'll get that high.
And frankly, I think you two might be moving a bit fast. You know, there are several good books in the library about flying. If you wanted, we could check a few out and set up a study schedule for Scootaloo. I'd be happy to help drill
You
her in
can't
proper
study
testing.
flying from
A
the
good job in
ground if
aerodynamics
you're a
and
fucking
flight mechanics
bird!
is much
Oh,
more logical than just jumping off of
Pegasus!
balconies. Come to think of it, that has to be one of the least efficient of... Hey, where are you going?
She finally realized she was talking to thin air, as both Pegasus ponies were already
I wonder
walking
who
back into the
Thin Air
library,
is, actually.
one limping, the other nearly levitating with excitement. Twilight sighed and started after them, not even bothering to pack up the medical kit. No point in lugging it up all those stairs just to carry it right back down again.
Yes, true. Is that Pinkie Pie playing that?
30 minutes and 4 flights later, Scootaloo was none the worse for wear. Her flying, it should be said, had not much improved, but her landing skills were far more advanced.
That's
By
good.
the 4th flight, they had even managed to attract a small crowd of ponies who applauded appreciatively after each attempt. In fact, the only pony who seemed to be suffering any ill effects was Twilight Sparkle, who was beginning to regret opening her library and balcony to flying lessons in the first place. Never one to let a chance to be passive-aggressive slip by, Twilight had taken to reading loudly from an introductory flight manual hastily recovered from the library's Life Skills section.
Life skills?
Hey, it says here that young flyers should start by jumping from small objects like tables or chairs.
She said, her horn glowing as she levitated the open book over to Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo, who were doing their best to
Small
ignore her.
chairs. How
You
big is
know,
it?
I have lots of tables and chairs downstairs. We could go down there and we...
Yeah. Thanks, Twilight.
Dash cut her off.
Anyway, Squirt, you're doing great! This time you're gonna try for a little forward momentum on the way down. Just angle your wings a tad back, like this.
She demonstrated by stretching her own wings
the
out to
same
their full
voice in
extent,
the other
tilted
thing we
into a
had to
normal
do.
flight profile.
But won't I fall faster if I do that?
The filly asked, torn between absolute acceptance of anything Rainbow Dash said or did and the reality of the 50-foot fall to the ground.
Oof.
Her teacher shook her
50
head
foot?
emphatically.
Nope.
Hi.
Right now you're generating lift with the downward pressure of your wings, which lets you hover but is very inefficient. In true flight,
Where
you
did
only
Flamer go?
fly
All
forward.
fucking science, Steve.
All your lift
Science.
is generated by the
Oh,
airflow
flying.
over your wing surface.
That's Twilight's
Oh.
job.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Scootaloo craned her head over her shoulder and flapped her wings experimentally, trying to get a feel for tilting them like Dash said.
Don't know what that was.
For once, Twilight had nothing to add, in shock from hearing Rainbow Dash use such technical terminology.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see what you can do.
Dash jumped up on the balcony and tapped the railing next to her with a hoof. Scootaloo climbed up with a bit more effort and significantly less elegance, making sure not to put any weight on her injured hoof.
Remember, push back with your wings, not just down.
Don't overdo
Scootaloo
it,
nodded, stretched her
Rainbow.
wings out as far as they would go, and jumped before Dash could push her. Twilight Sparkle stood with her forelegs draped over the railing to watch the flight. The orange Pegasus seemed to be doing well. She was actually gliding forward instead of just falling, helped by the occasional flap of her wings.
Yeah, you got it.
Dash shouted beside her.
She's gonna fall down a bit.
Turn a bit away from that house. No, don't flap. Turn.
Turn!
She trailed off as Scootaloo crashed into the side of a nearby house with enough force to rattle the windows, followed a second later by
At
the
least you
ground.
got a soft landing.
So, turning.
Twilight observed. Below them, a circle of concerned ponies had gathered around the dazed Pegasus filly. Grumbling something under her breath, The Siam Pegasus jumped from the railing and soared effortlessly down to her student. Twilight watched the spectacle for a few minutes from the balcony,
It's a spectacle!
then turned with a quiet huff to head back down the stairs.
Back down the stairs. Part 3. This gives music. Where are we
I
now?
don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. It just makes so much sense.
What
Rainbow
does?
Dash was in a particularly good mood.
Really?
Nearly a week had passed since Scootaloo's last flight, and Nurse Redheart had reluctantly cleared the young Pegasus for more lessons. Scootaloo hadn't even been hurt after that crash, really, just a little sore, and she certainly wasn't blaming Dash for not teaching her how to turn. Unlike some ponies, anyway.
Some ponies
Dash
too.
peered over the edge of the cloud at the bench below, searching for the dark purple unicorn whose cutie mark should have been a lectern. She loved Twilight, she really did, but sometimes that pony could be an aggravating little... Aha! There, near the water's edge, a spark of sunlight was reflecting off a pair of binoculars held in front of a certain filly's face. Feeling smug, Dash waved down at the pony.
Hey, Twilight!
Down
Thanks for
here!
coming out to help!
Shit!
She held a hoof over her mouth and snickered, as if Twilight could be of any help from down there. Behind her on the cloud, Scootaloo was having the time of her life. It was a thin cloud, and the young pony was stomping holes in it with her hoof to peer down at the lake below.
You're gonna fall down.
They
if
were
you
much
do that.
higher than the balcony. The cloud Dash chose for their exercise was at least 1,000 feet above the lake, drifting slowly away from the beach in the gentle summer breeze. Below them, ponies were splashing in the water or lounging on the beach. The balcony was a good start, but it lacked two important components. First, it wasn't very high. Second, it was over the ground. Hard, unforgiving ground. The lake, on the other hand, was much
Very
softer.
hard ground.
You still didn't want to slam into it at full speed,
No.
as Dash had learned years before, but
Yeah.
it definitely beat running into the ground. Or trees. Or houses. And so, on the
Or
first day
ponies, for
Scootaloo
that
was allowed
matter.
to fly again, Dash carried her to a cloud high above the lake to review what they had learned.
I am such an awesome teacher.
Dash said quietly, looking down at the beach.
Why do you look after her?
Came the curious voice of Scootaloo right behind her.
Yeah!
Dash jumped into the air and spun, hovering a few feet above the cloud.
Just talking to myself. Anyway, are you ready?
Of course.
Okay, what are the 4 forces of flight?
Lift, gravity, drag, and,
Friction?
Scootaloo screwed her face into a squint, trying desperately to remember their lessons.
and speed?
Close enough.
Close
now,
enough.
it's a hot day with the sun out. What's there need for the air?
It's thinner, so I'll need more speed to generate the same amount of lift as a cold day. It also has less oxygen, so I'll get tired faster.
Right! Now, winds?
Scootaloo looked up at the higher clouds.
Light,
Fiddler's
generally
bloody
from the
science
west,
now.
but blowing from the lake onto shore down near the surface.
Good. Flight plan?
Big
Are you gonna
circles over
catch the
lake.
thermals
Only
now?
flap for thrust. Try to maintain altitude as long as possible. Land in the shallow water near the beach. Oh, thrust. Thrust is the 4th force, not speed.
Dash grinned.
Not bad. I'll be on your wing. And remember, this is a long flight. If you try to hover, you'll just wear yourself out. And then it's a long
Yeah.
way down.
Yeah.
The young Pegasus gulped audibly, then nodded. Together, they stood
You
at the
can
edge
do
of the
it,
cloud,
Scootaloo.
staring
We got
down at the
faith
lake
in
far
you.
below. Neither moved. Several minutes passed. From below, the two were visible only as tiny dark dots on the edge of one of the lower clouds, unless one had binoculars, in which case they were slightly larger blue and orange dots on the edge of the cloud. Dash glanced at the filly beside her. Scootaloo was trembling ever so slightly, her wings held stiff and frozen out to her sides.
You know,
The blue pony said quietly.
not many ponies here know this, but the first time I tried flying, I hurt myself very badly. It was a month before I could even walk
It's
again,
like riding a bike.
much less use my wings.
Beside her, Scootaloo had stopped shivering and appeared to be listening as she stared at the water.
The next time my parents tried to take me to fly, I was terrified. I didn't even want to try jumping from trees, like most young Pegasus ponies do. I figured I could just spend the rest of my life on land, like a unicorn or earth pony.
She laid down on the cloud, her forelegs and head draped over the edge.
Finally, one of my friends, who hadn't started flying yet, asked me for help. He said that if I could survive a crash like that, then I must have learned something important.
Is that why they call you Rainbow Crash?
Scootaloo asked quietly, now also lying down beside her. Dash scowled at her.
Never mind. Anyway, even after seeing what happened on my first flight, he still wanted to fly and trusted me enough to help him. So we both went to the edge of one of the clouds in Cloudsdale, closed our eyes, and jumped together.
Scootaloo stared at her, eyes wide as saucers.
I just mentioned the eyes
what
bit
happened
twisted.
to you?
Dash stretched her legs and wings and stood back up.
That doesn't matter, Squirt. What matters is that we jumped.
She gave the young Pegasus an expectant look. Scootaloo thought about that for a moment. Then, without further hesitation or doubt,
she plunge.
Trotted to the edge, and leapt into the sky. Behind her on the cloud, Dash grinned.
I'm such an awesome teacher!
And then she jumped as well.
Go on. Like the music?
1,000 feet below, peering at the cloud through her binoculars, Twilight saw the tiny orange dot leap from the cloud and fall nearly 100 feet in just a few heart-stopping seconds.
You got a telescope,
just when
Twilight.
she was starting to panic, the dot, now a bit larger, began to turn, slipping sideways through the air with surprising speed. It was joined a moment later by a rainbow-coloured smear that followed it as it began to trace a large circle around the lake.
Oh my, she's going very fast,
said Fluttershy from beside her. The yellow Pegasus pony had passed the time accumulating a collection of turtles, ducks, and even snakes from around the lake, but was now staring just as intently as Twilight up at the two flyers.
Is that safe?
Twilight asked.
Oh yes,
Fluttershy assured her.
Maybe.
Young flyers are usually safer when they fly quickly. It's less tiring to stay up than trying to hover.
She paused, then added,
Of course, it can make landings a bit more difficult.
That's true. You don't want to land at high speed, really.
Scootaloo had never expected flying to be so loud. The roar of the wind past her ears was like thunder. Her mane was whipping like a flag in a tornado, and her legs were shaking so hard she thought she might lose the feeling in her hooves.
Tuck your legs in, champ!
Called a sudden voice to her side.
Landing gears.
Sparing a quick glance to the left, she spied Rainbow Dash. The blue pony's flight was so steady she might as well have been ice skating. She duly pulled her legs up under her body, and was rewarded with a suddenly calmer flight. The wind was still loud, but she found she could ignore its roar. Her wings were still a tad shaky compared to Dash's, and she was constantly trimming her pinions to try and stay level. But she was flying.
Well done,
She was flying!
Look down!
Dash called beside her. Scootaloo did, and saw that the edge of the lake was rapidly approaching down below them.
The landing,
Tipping her left wing
another
slightly
matter.
to catch more air, she began a wide turn to stay over the water. Dash mirrored her movements, not moving even an inch relative to the younger Pegasus.
Now?
You've got energy! Trade it for height!
Dash yelled, before suddenly soaring up with a slight tilt of her wings. Scootaloo took another look at the lake below, then gave her own wings a slight twist, feeling them grab the air and shove her higher, while also slowing her down.
That's basically like flaps, really.
Dash said from above her. Now that she was slower, they could have something resembling a normal conversation.
Remember to flap occasionally to keep your speed. Oh, and breathe!
That was good advice.
Yeah.
She hadn't realised she'd been holding her breath nearly the entire flight. It also made talking easier.
It's like seagulls, isn't it?
Dash!
Where they glide into the wind.
Isn't it awesome?
It's not
It was indeed.
Well done. Well done. Well done, Scootaloo.
The two stayed in the air for nearly 20 minutes before Scootaloo's wings began to tire. Not wanting to risk a rough ending to an otherwise fine day of flying, Dash took them down to the water in a low, sweeping arc that terminated with a 100-yard-long skid across the water's surface, sending up twin fans of water that doused dozens of nearby ponies. The two were still splashing each other when Twilight finally reached them, trotting on the surface of the water as though it was solid earth.
Well, you two look like you had fun. Dash, you really are an awesome teacher.
Well, duh. Nice hat, by the way.
Twilight glanced up at the pith helmet she wore whenever spying on people, which was a surprising amount of her time. But then, Celestia had never told her how she was supposed to learn about friendship.
Thank you.
She responded dryly.
Thank you.
And Scootaloo, you looked fantastic up there.
You're amazing.
Amazing.
Said Fluttershy, who was hovering above all three of them.
Aw, it was all Dash's work.
Scootaloo replied, blushing. Dash waved a hoof dismissively.
Yeah, right. All I did was tell you to jump. You did the rest.
Well, let's get you two back to shore.
Twilight said, ever practical.
I hear Pinkie's already planning a party to celebrate your first real flight.
She grabbed Scootie's mane in her mouth and lifted her out of the water and began trotting back to shore with the squirming bundle. With a bit of help from Fluttershy, Dash managed to get out of the water and into the air. Thanking the other Pegasus, she turned back to the cloud high above.
Still awesome,
she whispered, then raced to catch up with her friends.
That was excellent! Oh my, Right. He's actually playing that. It's good, actually. You're not so cute. Why? Post is based off G3 Pony though. Fly. It's just giving. I hope it happens in the show, but giving the confidence that never to give up, keep on pushing, trying. And of course, you're gonna make mistakes on your first try. Like I said in the reaction, it's like riding a bike. Of course, on your first ride of the bike, you're gonna fucking fall over, aren't ya? Oh God, it's bloody Cockney. You're gonna fall over on your first try, maybe on the second try. And it might not take 1 day, it might not take 2, it might take a week. It's the dedication that you can do it. Just do it is the main thing. Don't give up. Like with computers, it took me over 10 years to learn how to use a computer, but I learnt on my own. But encouraging other ponies, in our case, encouraging people to not to give up, try your best, do your best. You never know, you're gonna make it. It's the same if you're driving a car for the first time. You need a morale booster. You need a confidence booster to driving the car for the first time. I never tried, but if I did try, it would be like a nerve-wracking experience. It's like going on your first job. It's gonna be nervous at first going on your first day on your job, and over time you build up experience and confidence, and next minute you're one of the guys. And the lessons that Rainbow Dash is teaching Scootaloo, she can now pass that on to another able Pegasus to fly. Pass on the knowledge to other ponies to learn. So you're gonna make it. It's the same if you're driving a car for the first time. You need a morale booster. You need a confidence booster to driving the car for the first time. I never tried, but if I did try, it would be like a nerve-wracking experience. It's like going on your first job. It's going to be nervous at first, going on your first day on your job, and over time you build up experience and confidence, and next minute you're one of the guys. And the lessons that Rainbow Dash is teaching Scootaloo, she can now pass that on to another able Pegasus to fly. Pass on the knowledge to other ponies to learn. It might be different when it comes to like driving, but yes. Well, it's a bit difficult to say in Mother Nature when it comes to birds, because they got to learn to fly in a short space of time. It seemed to flying seemed to come naturally for them, and Pegasus, it seemed to come naturally to the Pegasus, and it took a long time. Listen to the story. It took a long time for Scootaloo to fly. I'm not sure about the time scale in the story. It sounds like she could learn how to fly within a month, because she was definitely not going to learn it on the first day of trying. No. You can't. The guarantees of learning on your first day of trying is pretty slim. But anyway, I hope you like this reaction and all my reactions I do, and I will